What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 27 of John and Ted's excellent Gamecast. And what time is it? It's game time. Wow, it's April 7th, 2016, and like always, I am your host, Ted Edwards, and I'm here with Johnathan Aloni. What's up, dude?
How is it going over here in New England? The Earth is having its April Fool's joke on us a little late. We have snow on the ground, and that's not funny.
Well, it's kind of funny for me. I'm going to go turn off my air conditioning because it's hot here. It's like 88, and I'm basking in sunny LA. I just realized we are not alone, as always. We have a special guest here. We have Johnathan Aloni. What's up, man?
Oh, hello. Everything's cool.
It's good.
I have to say here it's only 70 degrees, something like that.
Oh, John, man.
Yeah, it's like freezing.
Yeah. So to delineate the two of you, Johnathan as guest, you are Johnathan, and John, my man, you are John. So hey, there we go. So yeah, you have two people in nice warmer places. Are you jealous?
Very much so.
How much snow hit you guys?
At least 5 or 6 inches.
Ooh, gross.
Yeah, April. It wasn't just a dusting. It was 2 days worth of snow.
So that's
crazy.
5 or 6 inches too much. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Gross.
But I can't complain. It was like 80 degrees on Christmas Day, so
okay.
Gotta take the good with the bad. So.
There you go. I mean, what can you ask for over in New England? I mean,
well, that's the saying over here in New England is if you don't like the weather, just wait.
Yep. Yeah, for real. Oh, no. So, yeah, we're at episode 27, John. What do we have? Who is the NFL player with number 27?
Atwater,
yes.
I think either strong or free safety of the Denver Broncos in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah, and early 90s, yeah. And he also played, in the 90s as well. And he also played for the Jets, too. So, but he's a Bronco. Yeah, so you're happy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was definitely one of the guys that kind of him and Ronnie Lott really brought the free safety, strong safety position into they defined that position at that time. So
exactly. And Johnathan, what are your thoughts on Steve Atwater in the NFL?
Yeah.
Well, NFL is a sport, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's a league. It's the league.
Yeah.
Right.
So
National Fools League, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the one they compete for concussions, right?
Exactly. Yep. You try to get whoever gets the most concussions wins.
Okay, that's cool.
Foosball league.
So that answers that question, John.
Yeah.
My record for sports fans on this podcast. What am I now? 5 and like 27, 24, 5. I don't know. We're on episode 27, so it's like 5 and 23.
Yeah, no, you got me all wrong. I'm a sports fan, but
football fan, we'll say.
Well, intelligent sports, not football.
Oh, there you go. Nice, I like it. What sports do you like?
Don't get Ted started on that.
Yeah. What sports are you on there, Johnathan?
That's something unknown to most Americans. It's called tennis.
Oh no, I'm a big tennis fan. No.
You're a big tennis fan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A few episodes ago.
Yeah.
Who's Sam?
Oh yeah, who's Sam? Yeah, with episode 24. Yeah, we talked. He's a big tennis player. Yeah, we did talk about tennis. I used to play Virtua Tennis 3 on the PlayStation 3 with my friends all the time, and I got really into tennis. And yeah, that's cool. So where do you hail from, Johnathan, originally?
Israel.
Israel. Oh, nice. We're getting worldwide. We've had Germans on the podcast, Swedes, people from Netherlands. So yeah, we're doing good. And England. Don't forget England. We've had some Brits from over the pond. So well, welcome here, Johnathan. Like we do with everybody, so they know who the third voice is. Kind of give a quick 30-second rundown of who you are, what you're doing, and why you're talking to these crazy football fans, I guess, unintelligent sports fans right now. So go ahead.
All right. Well, there's no formal presentation, guest star today on the show and stuff like that. Okay, I'll do myself. So I'm Johnathan, designated as Johnathan in this show for ease, and I am a former tabletop game publisher. I've done that for about 13 years. in Israel. And all of a sudden I had a pre-midlife crisis and I turned to law school. Something I sometimes wake up with cold sweat at night and regret, but have to deal with it anyway. And now I hold a master's degree in law from the University of Berkeley with a specialization in intellectual property. And combining my previous love and my current infatuation with law, I specialize in intellectual property in games. And that's why I'm here talking to you guys.
That's
awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, definitely interesting, right, John? I thought that was pretty cool. I think, Johnathan, before the show, we talked kind of linked like the need for that. And we'll go into more detail in your interview portion. So that's pretty cool. Right on. I just have to say that a couple things that are happening. Sorry, everybody, for the crazy episodes of the last couple of weeks. We've been a little busy, but we're back on schedule with our regular episode. We have our wonderful guest Johnathan here, which we'll get into. So yeah, it's a little housekeeping issues. John, what have you been playing? What has your son been playing lately? Any games?
He picked up Black Ops 3. The new one. Yeah. He picked that up on Steam. He's been playing that lately. And he picked up another game too the other day, and I'm blanking out on it. I'm my other son, my middle son, not happy with him. He's like, he's almost 7. He's definitely old enough to know how to like take care of things, and he's constantly wrecking the games that we buy on disc. So I'm like, why do I even buy? Like, no more. I'm only buying digital stuff now. Like, we got Mario Maker. I mean, I think I can clean it, but it's not, being recognized by the Wii now.
Oh no.
Like 3 months or whatever. It's like, so I'm a little upset at him, but that comes with the territory with kids. So.
Oh yeah. So, oh boy, digital downloads only. Hey, that's one of the benefits of digital downloads, I'd say. They're kid proof.
Well, stop buying games and start renting them and use GameFly and services like that.
Yeah, I was thinking of something like that too, because then that way, if it's $15-20 a month, then it's definitely worth it. Because you're going to have a few games a month they can play, and even if they do wreck it, it's not my problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go. As you know, I was in London last week, so that's one of the reasons I was not here. But I had enjoyed playing. A game came out about a year ago now, but it was all the rave for like the mobile game of the year last year. But I played Lara Croft Go on the iOS, and that rocks. That should kind of go into your background, Johnathan. It's kind of a tabletop gaming turned video game. I'm not sure have you played the Hitman series, Hitman Go? I'm playing that now. But Lara Croft Go was awesome. Like that ate up about 18 hours of my time. That was both my flights, direct flights from LA to London, so that worked out really well. And yeah, I had so much fun with that game. Like it's amazing. It was really good. So I'm looking forward to like the next games they pull out on it. But it's for you, John, if you haven't heard of it, it's basically kind of a stepwise kind of puzzle game in the Tomb Raider skin. So you're playing as Lara Croft, and there's a kind of a board in front of you, but it's like a map, like a level, and you'll see like like a boulder up here, and like a little swing down here, a spike pit right there, and like there'll be like a giant spider over here, and you swipe the direction of like the next dot on the map, so there's a map to go. So as you swipe, everything moves in turn. So like the spider moves one step, the boulder will swing one step. So as you swipe, so you have to do it the right amount of moves, and you have to push this block here, move this under here, drop on this. So all this stuff happens, and there's so many different elements. Like the walls crumble if you step on them or cram on them too many times. You have to pull this lever, but you have to do it in the right order, or like avoiding getting killed, like one of the steps, and like it's pretty awesome. So I really enjoyed it, and it was like it's a hardcore puzzle game. As you get towards like the 7th world, I think on there, or 6th world, it gets pretty challenging. Like oh my gosh, it took me probably like 2 hours to beat this last one because I just was freaking out on it. So then I just stopped and I watched a movie on the plane, and then I went back to it and I solved it like the second try. I was like, oh man. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So I was playing that, and it was also my birthday last week, old man Ted here. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and Shauna got me one of the little Atari emulation machines with like 125 Atari games, and so I hooked that bad boy up, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It works like a charm.
Is it basically like kind of like the old the old school Atari joystick with like the built into it? Is that basically all that it is?
Yeah, honestly, it's just a shell of, it looks like old Atari, but it's smaller. It's like plastic. So like the wood paneling is like plastic coloring. It looks just like an old Atari. It's a lot smaller. It's not as big and wide. It's probably, I would say, maybe, let me look at it. It's hooked up. It's probably maybe 8 to 10 inches wide.
Okay.
10 inches wide probably, and about, I'd say 8 inches deep, and about 3 inches high. It's like a little small box. It looks just like an Atari. Got the 2 joysticks, are exactly like Atari joysticks. And you can actually plug up old Atari controllers to it, which I thought was cool. But it comes with like infrared controller, so that kind of sucks. So if you put your hand in front of it while you're playing it, it won't read, because it's like really. But it's an emulation box. It's got everything from like I said on Ready Player One, like Joust and Tempest and everything. I was playing Adventure and Adventure 2, Yar's Revenge, everything. So
that's why I was asking before the podcast, because I was like, man, I'm just gonna get rid of the Wii U and get this Atari thing and have my kids play that instead.
Dude, you should. Honestly, for like a little thing. I mean, the games are real simple, obviously. So I'm not sure if they're like set on Mario Maker, which is an amazing game. Then,
right.
But for like something just to pick up and play, like it works great. They're not that expensive. I think you can get them on online on Amazon for like $40. So
yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's totally worth it.
Are the controllers like the old school red button?
Yep.
Yep.
It's the exact. It's a joystick with a big one red button, and then on the front of it, like on the side facing you, there's a start and select. So to exit out of the game, you push start and select together, and then you go. And then you just push select, and it increases the difficulty of the game and skips the level. So you can like play all the levels right there. So if you, let's say you were really good at one of the games back in the day, right? And you just want to go to like the harder levels, you can just push select like 10 times. It'll jump you forward levels, so you can just play hard. So you don't have to go up through everything. So
you could do that in Pac-Man and play the perfect game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if you get the score, but I think you'll be able to get to the last split level and everything. So
yeah.
But it was definitely cool. So
that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's what I've been doing and playing. So, Johnathan, anything on your end? What have you been up to? What have you been playing these days?
Playing Dad.
Yeah.
Well, I can't compete with you, John. You have 5 kids. I have 2 and 1 on the way.
Oh.
Yeah, we're the final stretch. So basically that keeps me very busy. I hate to admit it. This is to a certain point I'm even ashamed, but I do play Candy Crush all the time.
Hey, it's one of those games. It's Candy Crack. It should be called. like.
Yeah, there's the new jelly version. So I got like 3 jobs and 2 kids and a pregnant wife. But in the few minutes, like walking to school to pick up my kids, something like that, I just wander around with the phone in the hand, trying to get to the next level, and not getting hit by a car at the same time.
Right. There is that balance.
Playing 2 games at once.
Yeah, you're playing Frogger and Candy Crush. Nice.
Yeah, exactly, Frogger. Yeah. Just trying to figure out what that game was called.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, sweet. So I guess you guys want to get into some news and just get it rolling?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Not much news going on right now. We've talked at length about VR, and I think I'm VR'd out for a little bit. But in the meantime, we have to kind of touch it a little bit. Over the last little, I would say, weeks that we've been kind of gone. Oculus came out officially, so that's out. Yeah. Yeah, Oculus is out, and then by the time this episode is up, for sure, the Vive will be out. And I have to full disclosure on that. I actually about 2 weeks ago, Charlie from episode 10, you remember for Game School, he got an early edition of that like a month ago, and about maybe 3 weeks ago, I went over and we had like a 3.5 hour session with the Vive.
Oh, man.
I got it early, and Sean and I, we went over, and it was just me, Charlie, and Sean, and we just played it for 3.5 hours straight and just rocked. It was pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it. It was fun. But I would not get one.
Really?
If that makes sense. Yeah, it's very novel, but it's not like, ooh, I want to get inside VR. It's like, okay, this is kind of cool, but it wasn't. It's not a game that you just want to sit down and play. Like, I want to play a video game with a controller and then just get into it and play a game. To get on all and hooked up and have a quick little VR experience, it's fun. It's almost like the Wii, right? When you have like Wii Sports, like you're not really gonna play Wii Sports like by yourself that often or anything like that. It's like a good party thing, but there's Wii games that are good, and until those games and experiences come out for like the Vive and Oculus, and I'm kind of just chilling on it. But yeah, I'm not going to jump on it right now in the first iteration for sure. But yeah,
it's still somewhat, now that they're getting into the level that they're at, it's still, new technology in a sense, even though it's kind of been around forever. But right. the stage that it's at, it's sort of new technology, so there's still a lot to be done with it. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's cool and everything, but like I said, I just think again, the experiences right now are more experiences, and we'll just see how they go from there. But the first news stories is Oculus. Surprise, surprise. We misunderstood the demand, and so we're kind of short on supplies.
Yeah, we're missing a part. We're sorry. We don't know. We don't know where we put it.
I guess that's good for them, but not good for the consumer, but good for them, I guess, if they undershot what they thought the demand would be.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess, but like, so people aren't getting their stuff now. So right. Yeah, they're not. So there's just like what Johnathan said, like there's a component shortage, and like what? I mean, come on. I mean, these are the pre-order people. And so you knew that, and that's what's kind of weird to me. But again, they're doing good by it, and they're giving free shipping for anyone else who orders it now or who ordered it, so they're going to refund the shipping. So that's cool. They're trying to make good, but I mean, you pre-order it back in February, and you expect to get it on day one, and now you're waiting a week or two or whatever it takes to get that component set. So. Come on, Oculus, let's go. That's a bad start. Don't trip at the finish line.
Listen,
now.
They're reshaping reality. You can give them a break.
I guess so. I in their reality, I guess because supply and demand doesn't exist. So hey. So we'll see what happens with that. But just a little quick Oculus Rift and Vive stuff. Like if VR's here, it's crazy. I can't believe we've been talking about it for months now, huh, John? And it's just now it's just here and it's out there. It's really cool though. The time that Sean and I had, and I think what's really cool about the Vive is the room scale stuff. It really does work, and it's really cool. Like you can actually move around.
Was it glasses that you have to wear, right?
Yeah, it was a full headset, and it's a full VR headset, and there's it's room scale. So like unlike the Oculus where it's just like you're in basically a chair or seat or stationary, you move your head around and like kind of step a little bit of tracking like forward and back like a couple feet. Yeah. Like this is like full. You can actually walk around with. Oh wow! With okay. Yeah, you can move, but obviously, it's limited by your room size. So what happens is there's an invisible wall you put up. So you specify the size of your room, and so inside the VR experience, you say, hey, 8, you say like 12 by 5. Like you have a little small living room space in front of you, right, in front of your couch and TV. So you put that in, and then like as you approach the end, like this blue grid will show up, and you'll be that's the end. So you just kind of back up, okay. You back up, and then you go to That's so smart. It is smart, and so like you could tell where you are, and so like if you go to the corner, you'll see the corner of the grid. So that's the left side, the right side, or you turn behind, you'll see the grid, but it won't show up unless you're really close to it. So that's good. Otherwise, it's there. But yeah, it was cool. You actually move. There's this one game. I can't remember the name, but it was like a.
Was that like a dragon game or something like that, right?
No. There's this one game that we were playing, that Sean and I were playing. That's probably the best one. It's like a bullet time where it's like a typical like waves of enemies, you kill them, but you had like you're dual wielding pistols, right? And so you put the pistol behind your back, you pull it out in front of you, and you have a shield. And then you can, and we have, because you have 2 controllers in your hands. Like the Vive controllers are really nice. They work really well. And you can, so on your thumb, they're really intuitive. You can like scroll on the thumbs back and forth, and you can scroll the settings of your pistol. Obviously put on automatic, right? So automatic weapons, and then so you're out looking over like the city, this like cityscape at night. You're like on this weird white futuristic or gray futuristic platform. You're out looking at the city on this mountaintop, and these little drone bots come flying up, and they shoot you, and they surround you. So you have to like look around behind you and like shoot, and like when they shoot, they make the sound that goes dee 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 dee, and then they shoot, and then like it's bullet time, so you can like move and like matrix it out of the way, and they can miss your bullet. Wow. So that it was really fun. That was the coolest thing.
Now we're just missing the full bodysuit to actually feel the shots.
Exactly. Yeah, looking for like a haptic suit, like in Ready Player One. Yeah, like exactly. Well, they have that actually now already for a game called Rez. They actually have the full suits right now. But yeah, it was really fun. It was really great. And the room scale stuff is cool. Oculus is not. They plan on doing that in the future, but they don't have it as of now. But like I said, it's a cool thing. But like I said, I wouldn't buy it right now. It's Yeah, I'm not
it's too early.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna drop $800 plus, get a $1,500 PC. It's just no, I'm good.
Well, at least it sounds like it's got a good point right now. Well,
It's a fun thing. It's a fun thing. But like I say, it's not the thing. Video games traditionally are still much better in my opinion. So now that will change maybe as people start learning how to develop for it, etc. But as of now,
it's a whole other way of programming now. I mean,
right.
So not only does the technology need to catch up, but now developers need to think in a new way.
Yeah, exactly. And neither Shauna or I got sick, so that's cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Because I mean that's a big risk with VR too. People get motion sickness, and I usually don't get motion sickness. I've had it on a boat one time, but that's because it was a storm at sea, so that's and you're on a small little pontoon boat. So it's like moving back and forth hugely.
Don't play any VR games where you're on a boat at sea.
No, don't do that. That's not a good combo. If you, oh man, but so it was good, but. So yeah, that's our quick VR 5 minutes and no more. All right, so John, I really want to talk about this one. I think this is a cool story. Again, there's not much news. Maybe we'll say that one for last. So let's hit this one real quick. We talked about a couple weeks back about the Xbox and the Xbox 1.5, remember, and the whole Apple model, etc.
Yeah.
And then PlayStation came out like, oh, maybe we're gonna do a PlayStation 4.5 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's news stories out that Xbox they denied having to do that. They were like, no, that's not in our best interest. It's not what we want to do. Phil Spencer, he was like, hey, I'll read this quote, and I want to hear what you guys want to thought.
I like this quote. I think this quote actually might have been a little bit of a tell, and I'll get to what I think it was.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So everyone listening, I want to read the quote for you guys. It's pretty interesting. So he was asked about the 1.5 update that kind of rumors were spreading. And he says, I'm not a big fan of Xbox One or Xbox 1.5. Excuse me. I'm not a fan of Xbox 1.5. That's not true, but hey, who knows? If we're going to move forward, I want to move forward in big numbers. So that's interesting. And he clarified because again, he was like probed about, hey, what about PlayStation 4? And he's like, hey, that's not our thing. That's, I don't know anything about that. But he says, if we're going to go forward with anything, like I said, I really want it to be substantial change and upgrade. So I thought that was interesting.
So he didn't deny there's going to be some, sort of upgrade. He was saying, well, no, I'm not for a 1.5. If we're going to do something, it's going to be big. So I think maybe the plan,
Xbox 2.
Exactly. There are plans, but I think they want it to be more significant than what the PS4 is talking about, where like they'll add 4K. Right. So I think that means that I think they are going to do something, but it's not going to be as soon as people are saying, and it will be probably more of a significant change.
So do you think, here's my thoughts though. So a typical console lifestyle, like the PlayStation 2 lasted like 6-7 years, and then PS3 like 6 years. That's a console life cycle, 6-7 years. So if you go too many iterations, you kind of split your user base. So like that's why the 0.5 is like, hey, like the iOS model, like, hey, it works. You just have a faster processor, but then eventually games are gonna be like, okay, you can only use on the iPad 4, and not the iPad 3 or 2 or 1, right? And so there's that whole thing there. But it's like, if they came out with Xbox 2 like within the next year or two, is that too early? Like only 4.5 or 3.5 year console life cycle?
I don't think it's too early. I think you'll see that the rate is increasing.
And developers are already used to doing this garbage, unfortunately for them. Like, if you go to develop on iOS, and part of like the SDK is like, oh, you want it to run on, iOS version blank to blank. You want it to run on, on iPhone 7 down to iPhone 4.5. Like, so they're already dealing with all this garbage anyways. So it would be nothing for them to have to deal with this on, say, the Xbox or PlayStation if it does come to that.
Right. Well, I mean, that's in the phone. Like we understand like the phone model and the mobile device model, but the console generation, the console model has been largely untouched forever. Like that's what our whole big stink was a few weeks back, right? About the whole 0.5 thing. So,
these are more, I mean, the consoles, these consoles now are definitely more, like PCs than anything. So, I mean, people that buy a PC a year later, they're not ticked off that there's something out that twice as fast because they expect it.
Right.
You think we even needed the separation between consoles and PCs anymore?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think right now they're like, especially now that they switched over to the x86 architecture. I mean, now they're definitely, PCs basically. They're just, you have different operating systems on them. So
different operating systems, and there was a time that it was justifiable because PCs couldn't run games like you want them to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you can. Like, I don't think we need it as much in the sense of because it's the plug and play easy. Like, that you buy a game, you put it in your PlayStation, it works. That's why we need consoles, right? Because it's not, there's no mixing with, let me check in my anti-alias settings. What's my graphics? My GPU running? Oh, am I running? There's no messing with that if you're not a tech savvy person. So I don't know.
Well, you could probably fix that problem quite easily with PCs as well.
Well, why haven't they done it yet?
I don't know. Maybe because it's, again, we're going to talk about this later, why people treat tabletop games the way they do. But it's the same thing with gaming and PCs and consoles. We used to run games on PCs, and that's it.
Yep.
And first consoles came out, people were like, what the hell is this? I mean, I've been running, what was it? King's Tale or whatever.
Yep.
On my PC for, with the 5 to 8 floppy disks.
Yep.
And everything was working great.
Yeah, in basic.
Why do I need a console now? And then people switch to consoles. But then if you read the tech news all the time, PCs are getting meaner and meaner.
Oh yeah, they're way better than, or more powerful than the consoles. They've been more powerful, and like that's the gold standard is how well does it run on the PC? How awesome are these graphics on the PC? Like it's a well-known fact that the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are like a third or a quarter as powerful as like a good gaming PC.
So the only problem is sticking the CD there and just autoplaying. That's the only problem now.
It is. No, that is. But that is also a nice ease of use. If you don't want to deal with that. And also it's a price point too. It's a price point. Hey, this box, it's $400. It lasts 5 years, 6 years. I know I put in it a CD, I put in a game, or I download a game. It works. Everything works. Simple. No changing settings between games. No maximizing this. No optimizing that. It just works. But now the whole thing about the 0.5 model out there is like, whoa. Consoles are now becoming kind of a mobile device PC thing where there's going to be iterations, and now I'm going to have to start dealing with that with the consoles. So then what's the point of having a console now? So that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, why would we buy a 0.5? Why would you get one? Because, well, okay, I'll just get a PC and I can just upgrade it whenever I want instead of having to wait for them to send me an upgrade or put out a new model. I don't know. It just messes with the model, which is okay in the sense if they do it right, but it's like, then you're going to segment your user base, and consoles are already kind of fading out. Like you mentioned, perfect, Jonathan. Like, why do we even need consoles anymore? And it's the ease of use is the only benefit right now, because it's not the graphical power, that's for sure. Nope. It's not the games. Games are coming out on all platforms, so it's just the ease of use and price, and that's it.
So you solve that, and you got your solution, and you don't have to, backdate and upgrade and do all these funky stuff with consoles that's being talked about right now.
Yeah. Well, hey, jump on it. Let's go. Jonathan, we're waiting to solve it.
I hope somebody's listening to us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We'll see. So any other thoughts, John, on that quote that you were saying? Because I thought that was interesting. I like the quote because he's like, hey, we're not going to do that. That's not what we're.
Well, like I said, it was sort of a denial sort of thing. Like
right. He can't just say no.
Yeah, he's like, we wouldn't do 1.5 if we were going to do something. It would be much more significant.
Right. Well, I mean, you already know there's an Xbox 2 coming, but if it comes sooner than later, that's interesting to me. It's like, whoa, chopping your. I think if anyone's going to do it, it's the Xbox One because they're getting their ass kicked, excuse the language, by PlayStation right now. Like triple the sales for PlayStation compared to Xbox. Like it's just not even close this generation. And it's flip-flopping. Like every other generation's it flip-flops, right?
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 killed the Xbox. Then Xbox 360 killed the PlayStation 3. And then, it's just now it's just flip-flopping back and forth. And so if they were going to make an Xbox 2, I mean, why not? They have nothing to lose.
Well, I mean, especially because, without getting too nerdy, but I mean, with the hardware and with the processors and the motherboards in it, I mean, they could easily just put a faster processor in it just by, using the same socket in the motherboard and just make a faster process. So the only thing that's changing in the factory on the assembly line is the processor. So I mean, or they could just solder more RAM onto it than what's already on. So I mean, little things like that can make a difference. Wouldn't be a significant change in the production line.
Right. Well, I mean, what about even messing with the GPU stuff? I mean, just make it.
That's built now on the processor. So the processor and the GPU are on the same die now.
Oh wow. So well, the thing is, I mean, if they start, because Xbox, if anything, Microsoft could be more of a basically a PC in a shell. Now they should it is, but they should just make it a PC like Jonathan's problem solved. Just solve the problem, make a PC that works everything, and like I said, with the new Microsoft Store, everything has to pass a specific cert to get through their store. So if everything does that, they're all going to work, and then just boom, you have a little PC in a box and.
Yeah, I mean,
put it at $500 and go.
They would crush it if they just threw Windows 10 on something like an Xbox One.
Well, they have it now. That's what it's up now. That's its integration.
So now if they throw,
better processing power.
Not that I suggest anyone using the web browser, but they would put Internet Explorer on it, throw Skype on it, and now you're talking, like people would buy the Xbox. They'll have their PC, throw, Office 365 on it or whatever. Now they got their PC. Now they got their gaming machine. Now they got their entertainment device. They could kind of take over the living room in a sense.
Well, that's what they tried to do with 360, but they failed miserably.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the Xbox One originally, but they failed miserably.
Yeah.
And now it's not that. And so that was their original model. So they're walking back on everything, being like, we don't know, but. I just thought it was interesting that hey, you know what?
Just give them time. I mean, if you like me believe that science fiction movies aren't going to be science fiction for long,
right?
You're going to have that unit that is it has a brain in one room, but it has extensions in every other room, and you can play everything from everywhere all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the Steam box is already doing that. It's pretty cool. That's a Steam box device. You hook it up to your TV and it plays your PC games wirelessly through your Steam account. It's pretty sick. So, yeah. So
that's a step to where we're going.
Yeah, man. Like I agree. So, well, we'll see what happens with that. It's interesting. Video games are in a weird place right now. It's so the Wild West and no one knows what's going on. We're at a crossroads. We'll see what happens. Last story before we get into your interview, Jonathan. This was really cool, John. I wanted you to read this. I'm sure you probably took a look at this.
Oh, yeah.
The PlayStation employee creates custom controller for gamer with CP. That was the headline. And the articles are pretty cool. What did you think about that? You want to talk about that a little bit, John?
Yeah, in case people don't know, CP is cerebral palsy.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming they showed a picture of it. I couldn't quite understand what it looked like, but from my understanding of cerebral palsy can have many different levels. Mm-hmm. Sort of, I don't know the word.
High functioning or low, yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, roll back. What is cerebral palsy?
It's a nerve disorder for your nervous system. Where you lose control of your limbs.
Yeah, it can affect people on like many different levels. It could be some have harsher, bouts of cerebral palsy than others, but. So you basically you lose kind of like your motor skills in a sense.
Mm-hmm, so exactly.
So it's a lot harder to use two of your hands with a controller, and maybe some CP patients can only use one hand or use two hands at 50%. So it's like but so for someone to modify a controller and try to meet the needs of someone with CP it's pretty awesome because I can't obviously with me I can't see the screen, so there's not much you can do to help me see the screen, but there is something you can do to help someone like control the game when they can still see the screen, hear the screen, and all that. So I think that's awesome that someone took the time and said, why let something as dumb as not being able to use our, one controller meets everyone needs. Let's try to, customize it a little bit. So I think that's awesome that someone took those steps to do it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because if you know the PlayStation 4 controller, it has a touchpad in the middle, and he complained. Okay. Yeah, and so the gamer he complained that it was messing up, and his name is Peter Bjorn, or as I say Byrne? Is that Byron Bjorn? He was from New Jersey, and he sent in a letter and said, hey, this is not cool. Maybe you can do this and help out with this. And he was playing The Division, and it just wasn't working for him because he kept bringing up the map and pausing the game. And so he contacted an employee, Alex Nawabi, and that's who he contacted. And Alex wrote him back and a full I'm gonna read a little excerpt out of the message he sent. So here's a letter that Alex wrote back to Peter. He said, this is the first little line. He says, "Peter, my apologies, whatever, and blah blah blah." He says, "I was able to come up with a solution for your game and controller problem." So he just basically kind of outlined it for him, showed him how to use it, what to do, and what they plan on doing to build it, and then they said they're going to get it out to him ASAP. So they're custom building with everything. So
yeah, that's awesome. I having dealt with various companies on various levels, talking accessibility. Everyone talks a good game,
right?
But I love seeing it when companies, when push comes to shove, they're just like, let's do it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted you to weigh in on it, because you build your own, a Linux operating system that's accessible because you see the need for that, right? Because this is an issue. And like I said, there's some things that are just very difficult to do to make accessible.
So here's the problem with the gaming industry or consoles or controllers. Both big companies, or three big companies, have technological measures installed, so you can't buy somebody else's controller and hook it up.
Right. Yeah, third-party stuff is kind of difficult to have and use.
So if a third party comes in and says, "I have a controller that could be fully customized to accommodate every kind of disability, play with your legs, it works."
Yeah.
If you can, and you want to buy that and plug and play, it just won't register with your console.
That's why you gotta get a PC.
That's why you get a PC. Right, that's true. But people had their Xbox or PlayStation before their condition.
Right.
And they want to keep playing their favorite game, but they can't now because controller doesn't fit anymore. And these companies, and I hate to say it, but in the name of money, have blocked third parties that can actually do some good.
Right.
And the sad thing is these companies feel that there's not enough people out there where it's monetarily beneficial to them.
That's what I was going to say.
To make these controllers, or I'm not going to throw any companies under the bus, but I've spoken with quite a few big companies located in the California area.
I'm sorry.
And I've spoken to them quite a bit extensively, giving them lots of statistics. I pointed out to them, if you help me build this operating system, like by donating, money to help me and other developers work on this full time, there's 1 billion people in the world that have some type of disability. I said, if you help me, I'm going to bring 1 billion more people to the internet. I'm going to bring 1 more billion people needing your computers. And no, we understand. That's great. Blah, blah, blah. And like I said, when push comes to shove, it's crickets now. I'm sure I could email them right now and they'll get back to me, but will anything be done? No.
Right.
Talk is cheap.
It is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so for Sony to step up and just be, and especially, I'm assuming this guy is sort of, I don't want to say lower on the totem pole, but it's cool that he must have that sort of autonomy to be able to kind of make decisions like that, or at least
he brought it up, and then someone's like, you know what, let's do this.
Exactly, and then so he just kind of took the bull by the horns and was like, we should fix this, and they went ahead and did it.
Yeah. So this is a one-time service.
Well, but maybe what I liked about it is maybe it's not anymore. Maybe that, Sony can be like, hey, this is the PlayStation 4 X controller, like the other model, so it's another model that you can buy and you can actually have if you have a disability, and let's say you're playing one-handed, like maybe they can make a one-handed controller, how awesome would that be?
You guys have a media tool, you can call them up, get a formal, response from the PR department.
For sure. We know people in Sony, for sure. That's why I thought the story was so cool. A lot of these things come on the internet like, oh, look what this happened, look at this thing, it's cool. I just thought this was something that, like you're saying, like what John has been doing, he's been working so hard to do that, because again, like I support whatever he does in his cause so much that I was like, you know what, it's a step. And
yeah, like I said, I'm glad to see someone actually doing something, because everyone across the internet will, on the record, oh no, yeah, we're for everyone saying you want everyone to use our stuff and blah blah blah, but like Jonathan said, talk is cheap, and Sony is like putting their money where their mouth is, in a sense.
Yeah, it's cool. So good story, good stuff there.
Yep.
Moving on, I guess. Any other news, fellas, that you guys want to bring up before we move on?
I don't think so.
Jonathan, anything?
So I just wanted to give you an example. You know, I'm representing the legal side of stuff.
Yes.
So I wanted to give you an example how the law screws up with games. There's a bit of news called, the title is that Ark Survival Evolved is might be delayed because of a lawsuit.
Oh, okay. Explain. So what the thingy says is that the former, what was he, kind of an executive game developer for Trendy. For Trendy. Oh, Trendy.
Yes, for Trendy. Who worked on Dungeon Defender, moved to the guys who are doing Ark, and he had a non-solicitation clause in his contract with Trendy.
A non-compete or non-solicitation?
Non-solicitation. He had a non-compete and he had a non-solicitation. So the lawsuit says two things. Once, he went to his former employees and tried to solicit them to come work on Ark.
Ooh, fail.
And while claiming that he's actually not doing anything, he was secretly working on Ark. Thus violating. And this is,
That's over too, buddy.
Yeah, you're looking at this and you're like, what the hey? It's an employment lawsuit, basically, between a former employer and a former employee.
Yeah, but all the assets he touched, they have to take out of the game.
Yep.
So
and people kind of don't realize how, this is, where I come in a lot of times, how the law affects games. This is a guy who used to work at a place, didn't like what's going on, said, well, I'm leaving, I'm going somewhere else. Everybody knows he's going somewhere else. I mean, it's not a secret. You don't get to be, in his position and nobody's going to want you afterwards.
Right.
So he did some stuff, but that stuff, I mean, you could just call for a lawsuit, file for a lawsuit and then say, well, in court, I'll prove that he did this and that, and then I'll sue for damages and I'll take some of the money from Ark. But no, what they're going for,
shut it down.
Kind of shut them down, shut the game down. It's of course it's a pressure mechanism. If you have such a big title waiting to ship and everybody's waiting for it, and it has, I think the Steam version has been released. Mm-hmm. So everybody's waiting for it, and the guys from Ark are like, oh my god, we've been working on this for the last 3 years. What do we do? So of course they're going to want to settle and pay fast, pay a bit more and pay fast and get the game shipped. Mm-hmm. But this is the legal behind the scenes for the gaming industry. Well, some of it anyway. And people don't know this stuff.
Ouch.
It's actually very sad, but
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty awesome. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. I've heard about the game coming out, but like I said, that's sad. So again, we're probably going to dig deeper that in your interview about the more legal side, and especially with your topic and stuff. Well, thank you for that, Jonathan. So with that, fellas, I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to get into your interview, Mr. Johnathan Aloni, and former tabletop publisher, lawyer extraordinaire. So well, without taking too much longer, let's take a quick break, guys. Hello, we're back. How's the break, guys? You guys do some push. Oh, see, in unison. What are you guys hiding? Come on.
We got the same name. I mean, he's Jonathan, I'm Jonathan, so
Yeah. Great minds think alike.
Exactly. I would say so. You guys do some push-ups, do some laps around the house. What did you guys do? So, everybody who's just tuning in, we're here with Johnathan Aloni. Like I said, former tabletop publisher, lawyer, teaching gaming law to students at Cogswell Polytech in San Jose. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome. Well, we are going to get into your interview segment, and our resident journalist here is going to hit you with the hard questions. So, John, take it away, my man.
All right. Hey, so this first question is not going to be normally what I ask, but you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the interview that you're from Israel, right?
Yes, true.
How long were you there for?
How long was I there for?
Yeah.
And before you came.
38 years. No, wait. I spent my early childhood in New York, so wow, math. 31 years.
Okay.
So if you weren't born there, does that mean did you still have to serve?
I was born there.
Oh, okay. Did you still have to? So you served in the military then for the couple of years that you have to serve?
Well, me and the military had a disagreement about how to do things, so I served a shorter term in the army. Wow, yes.
You must have the lawyer built in you then if you're able to do that.
Well, different times.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I always find it interesting Israel and stuff. I love that country. So, all right. So on to the interview. So Johnathan, like we've said, you're the tabletop extraordinaire. So I'm wondering then, do you strictly play tabletop games or do you dabble in some video games too? And I guess this is a two-part question. So, do you dabble in video games? Do you only play tabletop games? And what was the first game you can remember playing?
Wow, the first game I can remember playing?
Yeah.
Stratego or Life, probably when I was a kid, growing up in New York. Nice. One of those. I'm guessing one of those two because, earliest memories that I can fish right now.
Sure.
First video game I remember was on a Commodore 64.
Yeah, oh yeah, John's happy.
That's my.
That's ages ago. We still had dinosaurs walking the earth.
Oh yeah.
But that was and I just don't remember. It was kind of a racing game.
Okay. Oh, was it Test Drive?
Could be.
Okay.
Black car.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and after that, the regular PC games everybody has. Prince of Persia comes to mind, of course.
Okay.
Tabletop after those two, Monopoly, of course, like everybody else.
Sure.
And I got serious when I was, teenager, but then I got into Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah.
Personal favorite, all-time favorite.
D&D is?
D&D, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. 3rd edition. Don't feed me any 4th edition or 5th edition. I'm a 3rd edition guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was going to say, so obviously you gravitated towards the board game side of gaming. So what about the board games, made you gravitate towards that and towards, the D&D more than the video games?
So it wasn't more. Growing up, I did both. I played both, but I grew up in a small town in Israel, and there wasn't a lot to do on Friday evenings or Saturday evenings or any evening at all.
I would guess D&D be perfect.
So that's it. You get a bunch of friends and you go bash skulls, basically.
Sweet.
So D&D came into place, and that was 13 to 16, 17. Way back when. I'm a bit older than that today, so yeah. And I'll be completely honest with you guys. I haven't sat down to play a normal adult game, for the last 2 years, ever since I came to the U.S. from Israel.
Yeah.
In late 2014. I just haven't had the time.
Hey, I feel you. Doing this podcast and getting back into the gaming industry with my company the last year is finally when I got back into it. But I took about 2 years off of video games. I just didn't have time, just couldn't do it.
We have a Xbox 360 Star Wars edition at home.
Oh, nice.
Yes, that actually prompted me to show my girls what Star Wars is.
You gotta teach them the right things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they definitely know. We need to know how to use the Force.
Yes.
And but they're girls, so we got Let's Dance and Just Dance and Yippee Dance and cheerleader stuff.
Right.
We do have sports as well, and with the boxing, the tennis, and those. But as I said before, I usually play while walking, I just play Candy Crush.
There you go. That still counts. So then what, like, how did you eventually end up for quite a time running your own, like, board game publishing company? Like, how did that come about and how did that start?
Oh, kind of a mistake. I got myself fired from the job I had, and I was doing a bachelor's in business. And I got myself fired. I was, this student job, and I was looking for something to do. And one of my coworkers in the office where I worked was a translator, a freelance translator. So I asked her, how do you do that? And so, I just go to stores, I pick a book that I like in English, and I offer it to publishing houses, and I say, you want me to do this? And they say yes or no. So I walk into a bookstore and I try to figure out what is it that I like. Well, obviously I like science fiction and fantasy. Duh. And, I don't relate to this, I don't relate to that. Oh, wait. There's no Dungeons and Dragons in Hebrew. There used to be when I was a teenager, but it's gone.
Really?
I knew that,
I knew that the
company, I knew that the company that had it when I was a teenager went belly up. So I just sent an email to Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast customer service, and I ended up being a publisher.
Man, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't think it would work today. Today everybody's like super duper aware, and it's even more global than it was in 2000, and and Skype and everything. But they asked me, so who are you? And I said, just somebody wants to translate. And I said, well, you can't just translate. You have to buy the rights and publish the book. So I became a publisher.
Man, that's funny. Yeah, you're probably right. Well, and not only that, but this day and age too, there's so many like gates you'd have to get through. Like if you email customer service or try calling them now, I mean, you'd have to jump through like 10 hoops to get to anyone
that'd be a mess.
That would even let you do anything.
Yeah, so that's it. And I had a funny way of doing the Hebrew edition of Dungeons and Dragons. I had a translator, of course. I didn't do the translation because I became a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do the other stuff.
Delegation, man.
Yeah, so I had a translator, but I can't say that I didn't trust him, but he was a bit snotty. And we got into fights about, translating this term or that, so I had assembled a review group.
Oh, man.
Which were basically, gamers. People who play Dungeons and Dragons to come to my house, after hours and just read the translation and see if it's good, if it's any good. Because Dungeons and Dragons is it's an awesome game, but it's also a very technical manual.
Oh, for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you can't flow with it, if you get stuck every other sentence, it's not good. It's not going to sell. And one of those days we were sitting there and one of the guys in the group says, well, have you ever heard about a game called Munchkin? No. So, well, it's a parody of Dungeons and Dragons. It's, what is it? Kill the monster, steal the treasure, stab your buddy in the back. That's Munchkin. Steve Jackson Games. Awesome game. Awesome company. So I started working with Steve Jackson Games, and then I started working with the Games Workshop, doing Warhammer in Israel.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
And Fantasy Flight Games, and a bunch of others. It just kind of happened. Never intended to.
Yeah, so you kind of turned in the go-to like Hebrew translation for all these games then, huh?
Yeah, I got more emails a day from companies all around the world asking me, oh, we got this awesome new game. Do you want to distribute us? Do you want to translate us? Do you want to do anything with us? And I'm like, I'm full. There's only so many products you can carry, only so many projects you can go into.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Hey, it's good to bat them away and then have to have to try to find them out yourself, so that's good.
Oh, definitely. Sense of accomplishment.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's really funny that it just kind of you honestly did sort of trip into it. You weren't even expecting any of that to happen. That's really funny.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite project, or some of your favorites that you published and that worked with? Some maybe that we haven't heard of.
So obviously Dungeons and Dragons.
Cool. Which editions did you? All of them?
So I did 3, 3.5, and 4.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, and At some point, I sold my company to a different guy and went to run my company as a division in his bigger company.
Uh-huh.
And when I left Israel, they were about to do 5 in English. There was, Wizards was about to publish 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what actually happened with it in Hebrew. I do know they're doing Pathfinder in Hebrew.
Oh.
Same company. So
sweet.
Which is an awesome game as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Dungeons & Dragons 3.75, which is much better than 4. But I think my personal favorite, the game I liked playing the most, is, I don't think they even sell it anymore. Fantasy Flight Games had a card game called Citadel.
I might have heard of that. Familiar. Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Oh, it was a small blue box, like a 1999 game. Really not that impressive compared to other Fantasy Flight games that they have. Like they have World of Warcraft board games, StarCraft board games, a huge, massive box with hundreds of pieces. This is like this very, very humble, nice card game, and that was my all-time personal favorite. I sold, every copy I talked about, I sold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow. I went to all the conventions myself. I had people working for me, but I love games, always loved game, and love talking about them. So yeah.
Oh, sorry. So did you start running into where I don't know if you necessarily were getting I don't think you would call them requests, but were you getting complaints from people claiming sort of fraud or theft of IP, and is that what kind of brought you over to the lawyer side of things?
Yeah, let's get into the legal side. What prompted that?
So one of the things is I didn't get any complaints about theft or stuff like that, but I did have to deal with a lot of people, usually kids, just scanning pages of Dungeons & Dragons manuals and books and putting them on their I love Dungeons & Dragons so much, oh my god website.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And the guy says it on his website, I'm a 4th grader, I love Dungeons & Dragons. Hey, look how cool this page is. The fighter page or the wizard page or whatnot. And you have to take him down. I'm sorry. So that's one of it. The other thing is that in my later years, I started a program to help local game designers get their games published. I sadly did not publish any independent games myself, but I did refer them to friends of mine within the industry. One of the things is I had a awesome game that we just called it Druids of Catan. You probably know Settlers of Catan.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So this game was, well, first of all, it's much better than Settlers of Catan. But the guy comes in with hexes. And he says, well, can I use them? I'm like, I don't know. Is a hex board game patent or trademarked or anything? I don't know. There's questions you just don't know how to answer.
Yeah.
The thing that pissed me off the most was all these licensing agreements and translation agreements and distribution agreements, all of them. I mean, you sit with people. I was in a meeting with the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, Europe, or Hasbro Europe, I don't remember, in a convention in Germany. And he asked to meet me, which was like a shock. I was sure he's going to say, we're taking the license away from you, but instead he wanted me to take more on.
Oh, good.
No kidding.
Yeah, and you get a bunch of paperwork from these guys, and then you have to call up your lawyer.
Right.
Now, here's the thing about lawyers, and Ted, I'll have to correct you. I'm not a lawyer.
Right.
I have 2 law degrees, but I'm not a lawyer.
Ah, yes.
It's a funny situation, but legal professional right. And blah blah. But I'm not a lawyer. Anyway, you call up the lawyer, and the lawyer, oh, I'm busy this week. I have a case, or I'm busy this year, or send it to me, and then they don't understand what they don't understand what you want to get out of it.
Right. They don't understand games either.
Then they don't understand games, and they're like, what's this term? This is really weird. You don't want that. And you go to Hasbro, and you say to Hasbro, yeah, I don't want this. And Hasbro's like, who the hell are you? and for just cause. I mean, they're Hasbro. You want them. They don't want you. Usually.
Exactly.
So at some point when I decided that I needed a change after about 12, 13 years of doing this, I stepped into my boss's office. As I told you, I sold my own publishing house to this very nice company. And he asked me then, what are you going to do, Johnathan? I said, well, I think I'll be a lawyer. Just be on the other side of things.
Yeah. Well, you saw a need there, just like you saw a need for a translation.
Exactly.
You saw a need for that in the gaming industry. So, like, that's smart. That's smart business, Like.
Yeah. So
yeah, that leads me to. So, what are you doing with it now? I think it's kind of cool. It's perfect. It's exactly what's needed in the industry right now, with your teaching and et cetera. You want to go into that a little bit?
I did a bachelor's in law, the equivalent of the normal world to JD.
Yep.
Juris Doctor. It's called an LLB in Israel and practically everywhere else. And my summary paper, my last paper, one that you have to submit to get a degree in the end after 3 years, was about IP and games from a semi-international point of view. Of course, focused on Israel, but I had case law from Germany and from New Zealand and stuff like that, other places. And what I discovered is that tabletop games are kind of out there. There's no real protection. You can protect the graphics of your game, but you can't really protect the text of your game. Not really. You can't really protect the rules of the game. Not really. Whatever you do, you come out with this new awesome game, and 5 seconds afterwards, same problem with the video industry. Cloning. Yeah. Everybody's talking about your new game, and oh my god, this is an awesome way to play games. And people just copy you. And there's nothing you can do about it.
They put different colors and slightly different font, and there you go.
You publish the game, like a medieval tournament game, and somebody says, well, I'll have it as a science fiction racing game instead. But it's the same game. It's the same mechanism, and
it's all the same mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it. The guy's going to make money, and he's going to meet you in the game show and say thank you for the game.
Right? Yeah. Hey, great idea. Thanks.
Very, very annoying. Very annoying. And so I ended up having a master's degree at Berkeley. I finished my LLB in Israel, and I got accepted to UC Berkeley School of Law, which is ranked number 1 in the U.S. in intellectual property law. And I had a class with a very famous professor, Pamela Samuelson, and she completely agrees with what's going on in the market right now, that games don't deserve any protection because they're usually categorized as systems and process. Like a method of playing a game is a method, and methods go under patents and not under copyright, so you can't really do anything about it unless somebody copies you one for one. We had a debate about that, and it ended up in my writing a second paper. This time going through U.S. intellectual property in games, and there's not a lot of it. There's not a lot of it in Israel, but the first paper I did also included Germany and France. And
there's even less over here, though, I'm sure.
So there's like a case from 1928 or 1929 saying, nope, sorry, games are not protected, but not explaining why. And then later decisions just go back to the first one saying, as we said in a previous decision, they're not protected. But we never explained why.
From 1920.
It's like the only thing that set precedence.
Yeah, listen, 90-year law, that doesn't need, any revision at all.
No, not at all, yeah. So I ended up writing a paper about that, and it turns out that video game law has had some significant changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first cases that came in were like, what is that thing going on that huge box? You call it an arcade game. We don't know what that is. It looks to us like it's a board game just with, a screen, unprotected. And then it shifted a bit to, it has sound in it. That's different. And it culminated in, 4 years ago, 2012, where a court said, this district court I think said, Tetris versus Mino, that games basically can have a whopping amount of protection from any angle you want. Like the rules of the game, it didn't say the rules of the game. The judge had a kind of quirky explanation about it, but he said that rules of the game can't be protected because they're systems and procedures and methods, and that's a patent, so you have to patent the rules of the game. Mm. But every expression of the rule of the game,
visual style, sound, yes, all that stuff.
So in Tetris, that meant, the color of the blocks, the shape of the blocks, the shape of the playing field, even the blinking line. When you complete a line, it blinks and fades out.
Yep.
The preview cube at I think it's the upper right corner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not protected per se as how you play the game, but it's protected as an expressive element of how you play the game. And this started an avalanche of lawsuits. And when I say avalanche,
and when was this?
This was in 2012.
Oh, wow. 4 years ago. Recently. Okay.
Yeah, this was very recently, and it changed the landscape. And people are like, no, it's not that high of a court, and it's definitely not the Supreme Court, so it won't have that much of an effect. But I've been keeping track of this, and it's having an effect. People are suing, or companies are suing, for cloning, saying the same thing. Well, he can have whatever rules he wants, but he cannot express them the same way we do. And that is a warning sign. So having my background in games and gaming, I know what to look for. I know what makes a game similar to a different one, even if they don't look the same. How they play.
Right.
And combining that with my morbid interest in law.
Morbid interest.
People see lawyers and like, oh my God, these guys have, horns and tail and everything. I went to a couple of game design colleges here around, and I approached them saying, well, you teach game design to these very young, naive people. And not everybody's going to get a job at, King Games or Disney or Blizzard. A lot of these guys are going to be indies. They're going to be independent game developers, and they're, going to sit in their mom's basement for a very long time and shoot out a game and post it to, whatever app store. Steam, Apple Store, Google Play. And 5 seconds afterwards, they're going to get a nasty letter from a lawyer saying, take your basically life's work down or else.
Yeah.
And I want to offer your students, your game design students, a class that will teach them the basics, which would basically, this is what to do and what not to do, to minimize your chances of being shot down.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and Cogswell College in San Jose picked this up. They said, it's a great idea, and we want you to do it. And my class, I think, is very successful. I enjoy teaching it very much, and this is what I teach them. I like first lesson, it's a basic review of what the hell's going on. But second class, I just put the slides and I show Tetris on one side, Mino on the other, as an example of do not do this. And we go over the decision, the judicial decision. And these are not law students, so they don't read case law. They don't know how to.
These are game designers.
These are game designers. I have to say the guys who did Mino, I can't remember the name of the company, but these were 2 or 3 very young guys. This was their first game. They researched by themselves, and they encountered the same American case law that I encountered, saying that games cannot be copyright protected. And, So they decided that the color of the game and the shape of the game and everything else is a copyright factor. So we can clone Tetris.
Right.
That's what they said. And I actually met the lawyer who defended them pro bono. And she said, as far as they were concerned, they didn't do this deliberately. They really researched. They went online, they went into the forums, they asked the questions, they read, the one or two short answers that they got, and they thought it was okay to do it. They didn't know they're going to get a judge who's going to, turn the law upside down.
Right.
Which is something you can't predict.
Yeah, right. You can plan for that.
Yeah. But, it's something now today these guys should be aware of.
For sure.
Well, there is this 2012 decision saying that, yes, we can screw you.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
And honestly, I think I mentioned when we talked, and I mentioned before, that's why I have a job. That's why RaptorCow, the company, exists. It's, the game developers they're good at coding and good at developing games. They don't know anything about business, really. And so that's why I have a job in that. And same thing, they don't know law. And it's just like a doctor. If they want to open their private practice, they can heal people. They know medicine, but they don't know business. And so, or anything. So that's why they have lawyers and teams around. So yeah, I think it's great what you're doing with that. That's perfect. And that's definitely what's needed in the industry. It's not just in copyright stuff, but there's so many different avenues for the law to understand, what can we do? How do we position ourselves? How do we protect ourselves from, again, our IP getting stolen? If on the other flip side of that, So
I teach them, the whole range of IP. I teach them, copyright, trademark, patents, trade secrets. I even go into information privacy because today everybody, you download an app. Everybody wants the analytics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's information privacy.
Yeah,
you have to understand what is it that you can and can't do, especially in California.
Oh yeah,
which is stricter than any other state. And I also teach them, basics of contract law.
Yeah, good.
Because again, I tell them, you're either going to be employed or you're going to sign contracts that, have your own company. I hope, I wish, all of you to be successful, but you're gonna sign contracts. Even the contract to upload your game to the App Store, it's a contract.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's called terms of service or it's called terms of whatever, but it is a contract. It's legally binding. You need to read the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't click next.
Yeah, don't click next. So Johnathan, kind of. What you've been doing is pretty awesome. I just want to ask you one last question. What inspires you to keep going to do this? And again, why do you wake up in the morning to do this? Has this kind of been your passion for a while?
I would love to say money, but that's not just not paying enough.
Right.
I don't know. I think I'm in love with games.
Right.
I think I've always been in love with games since I was very, very young. Just the basic card games that, grandma taught me and above.
Great answer. Yeah.
It's, I just love games, and this is something I feel I'm good at. I know better than most people. The average lawyer, even the average IP lawyer, it's a specialty. It's a niche. Games. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a weird thing. Video games are a $100 billion industry.
Yep.
And tabletop games, it's a much smaller industry. It's just 10 billion or something like that. Mm-hmm. But still, it's a huge industry. Gaming is a huge industry. And if you look at gambling gaming, you got tons of lawyers specializing in that.
Right.
And
no
people
other
know
game law. Right.
Yeah, it's a different kind of game law, but it's game law. But people know that there are risks involved. People know that, you have to ask licenses and stuff like that. But in this area, I just see the plethora of indies going on with games every single day, being oblivious to what's going on around them. And there's not enough lawyers who can tell them, or can provide a service. I don't know if your own company provides this legal heads up to game developers who come to you. But I think, law firms cost a lot of money.
Yep.
Nobody wants to hire one of those law firms. They're very pricey, and those are the ones who have the clients who are in the gaming industry. I mean, Blizzard has probably a very nice law firm representing them. King has one of the largest ones in San Francisco. Met their lawyer. He's a very nice, very smart, very knowledgeable lawyer. And she's awesome in gaming law, but she's really a rare gem.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them think that, they can read a bunch of cases and know what's going on, and it's not true.
Right. Well, yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. So again, before we get into the end part of the interview, right now is your time to shine and kind of brag about yourself.
I'm awesome.
Yeah, right. And kind of tell everyone how to get a hold of you if you want to do consulting with them. Like, if you do anything like that, like, how do people get a hold of you? Like, you have Twitter, email, like, kind of pimp yourself out. Ready to go.
Well, I got a LinkedIn profile.
Perfect.
It's Johnathan with an H, Johnathan. It's a different spelling of my name, and my last name is Aloni, Aloni. I actually do private consulting work. I just doing some consulting on a trademark issue for a company in New York, and I helped a company in the UK last month negotiating a deal with Hasbro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was fun.
Mm-hmm. And so they can check you out on LinkedIn? Do you have website, email, or anything?
So there's the LinkedIn thing. There is, Facebook. And just ask you where to find me.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely put the links in the show. But honestly, I think I speak for John too. I'll let him talk too. But thank you for being on. I think it's one of our more unique guests and unique angles, because you said you are like a unicorn or a rare breed. It's very rare in the industry, and I'm glad you're kind of making the push for that to happen. I mean, I think John kind of might echo that as well.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you.
Right on. Well, thank you very much. But at the end of every interview, there's a fun segment we like to call the boss battle. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the boss battle, Johnathan?
Like the one in video games at the end? Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. See? Right? Yeah. So John knows what's up. So the boss battle is our nice fun trivia and little challenge that we do for every guest. And the boss of the week is it's Death Adder, the boss from Golden Axe. Oh, John. Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I didn't know this was a history quiz.
Yeah, that Death Adder,
And Ted is the dungeon master, so to speak.
Yeah, so Death Adder is the insanely evil, towering, ridiculously buff descendant from giants, survivor of the Battle of the Gods, enslaver of the lands of Uria, serpent transforming, roid raging, axe wielding barbarian. Yeah, that guy. So I'm gonna run down for the listeners and for you, explain how it works. So our levels, our questions are sent in by the listeners or they're created by us. And if you're listening and you want to send us a question, you can do so on social media using the hashtag BossBattle, or you can email it to us directly to jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com with Boss Battle in the subject line. So Johnathan, how it works. There are a series of questions, 4 normal levels of increasing difficulty and 1 final boss encounter. Okay? You have 60 seconds on the first 4 levels. Then we go over the questions. You have a warp, which you can skip a question, and you also have a power-up, which makes any question 50-50, and John will help you with kind of your power-ups and how to use those.
Oh my God.
Yeah, after you get, if you get 4 out of 4 on the first 4 questions, you get a power-up for the boss, so it behooves you to do well in that first gauntlet. And then afterwards, you fight the boss. It's a very hard question, loosely based on science. And if you get all 5 out of 5, you get to be on our Hall of Champion, because we only had one person do it. So we'll see how it happens. But again, there's been 4 boss battle winners. We're on a drought right now. So you can still beat the boss, but we've only had one person go 5 out of 5. Any questions?
Oh my God. Is there life support? Like, I don't know. Can I call a friend?
Yes, you have one power. You say power up, and John, it makes any question 50-50. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So John will help you out through that. And
I'll try.
Alrighty. So.
I didn't study.
Yeah. Awesome. Are you ready to take on the boss of the week, Johnathan?
Go for it.
Yeah, John. I know you're ready, my man.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. Your boss battle starts when I finish reading the first question. Level 1. The Final Fantasy series belongs to which video game genre?
How do you answer that?
Which genre is the Final Fantasy series in?
Action?
Final answer?
I'll go with action.
All right, level 2. Ninja Gaiden came out on which platform? A, Apple II, B, SNES, C, NES, D, Arcade, or E, Sega Genesis?
Sega Genesis.
Final answer?
Yes.
Alrighty, level 3. Which of these classic adventure games was remastered in the last 2 years? A, Day of the Tentacle, B, Grim Fandango, C, Myst, D, A and B, or E, all of the above?
Ooh.
Oh my god. Where's my power up? Where's my?
Yeah, you have 50-50.
It's either D, A and B, A, or all of the above.
No, I want a 50-50 chance.
It is. That is.
Oh my god. That what? You just read all four of them again.
No, I didn't. I read. There's 5. I was 5 and I read 3.
I'm sorry. 50 is 2.5. I should round it down. I'd round it up.
You have 10 seconds, so you can either keep going or you can skip questions.
A and B.
All right. Level 4. In which vault do you, the character, start out in Fallout 4? 5 seconds.
I don't know.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
And time. Okay. Wow. There we go. I should dock you points for arguing with the dungeon master.
Hey, he's a lawyer.
Well, yeah, he can. Well, I am the judge, so he's out of my courtroom. Contempt. Good job. A valiant effort. Let's see how you did. John, what do you think? What's your gut feeling on this one?
I don't think Johnathan did that well.
No, I don't think Johnathan did that well.
I'm thinking there might have, I know at least maybe one was wrong. Well, so let's see. Okay. Let's go back through these, Johnathan. Let's see how you did. So the level 1 question was, the Final Fantasy series belongs to which game genre? You said, and I quote, action? The answer is not action. It's RPG or role-playing game. Yeah, the Final Fantasies are all RPGs. So yeah. Ooh. So 0 for 1. Okay, no worries. We'll keep going. See how you did in the other ones.
I'm guessing 0 for 4.
Oh, okay. We'll see. Level 2. Ninja Gaiden came out on which platform? The answer choices were the Apple II, A, B, the Super Nintendo, C, the NES, so Nintendo Entertainment System, D, Arcade, or E, Sega Genesis. I believe you answered E, Sega Genesis. Is that right? You said?
Yeah.
Okay. The answer is not E. It's actually C, the NES. Ooh. Came out in 1988.
Now that you were reading them again, I had a change of heart, but that's too late anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. So yeah, it came out in 1988, I believe. And that's actually, didn't we have that as one of the your music?
Was one of the audio games.
Yeah. I love that game. It's good. Level 3. This was your lawyer came out in you, which is good. I commend your fire and feist because competition brings out the best of us. The question was, which of these classic adventure games was remastered in the last 2 years? And there were 5 choices, and it was A, Day of the Tentacle, B, Grim Fandango, C, Myst, D, A and B, or E, all of the above. Use your power up here, which powered it up down to 60% and not 50-50. So,
see, that's cheating on behalf of the
that is cheating,
of the show.
But yes, and you answered. The power up knocked it down to either A, D, or E, and you chose D, A, and B. That is correct. Nice job. Yeah. Day of the Tentacle just came out, actually this week, and Grim Fandango came out last year, remastered. Day of the Tentacle came out originally in 1994, and Grim Fandango came out in 1998. And they were both remastered in the last 2 years. So, nice job. You got one. Hey. There you go. High five. Level 4. In which vault do you, the character, start out in Fallout 4? You chose the vault of I don't know. The vault is not I don't know. It's actually Vault 111. So, 1 for 4. Ouch. So yeah, you're bloodied. I think you're down to like 1 heart, right, John? Or like at least a heart and a half.
I'm sorry. I think that considering that I spent 13 years in board games and tabletop games, I think the trivia should have been about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, keep pleading your case, sir. Keep it. The defense
See if
rests.
we can overturn the judgment.
Right, the defense rests at this point. Well, no, so you're bloody. You do not get a power up for the boss because you didn't get 4 out of 4. But it's okay. You still have a chance to beat the boss and win the boss battle. Okay. So your final encounter with Death Adder is going to start when I finish reading the entire question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read you a little bit of background, and we're going to get into it. Here it goes. Death Adder is the mountain of a man barbarian that the 3 heroes of the game series Golden Axe must defeat. It just so happens that Death Adder wields the Golden Axe in a set on enslaving and ruling the land of Uria. His recurring appearance in the series stems from his resilience as a massive villain and a descendant of an evil giant race. The physical existence of giants has been reported in stories and folklore and recorded history, such as the Philistine warrior Goliath in the Bible, many Greek gods, and Norse mythological races. Your questions. Stories have some truth behind them. These stories of massive beings could be a possible link to gigantism, a medical condition in which individuals' height is several standard deviations above the norm. If Death Adder had gigantism, what hormone would be tested to determine if he had a disease or was merely just tall? Would it be A, progesterone, B, human growth hormone, C, testosterone, D, androgen, or E, IGF-1? 30 seconds.
I'll go with human growth hormone.
Is that your final answer?
Although he's not human, but...
Right. Is that your final answer?
I'll go with a yes, and sorry.
And time. Okay, wow. Right off the gun. Human growth hormone. So yeah, gigantism. It happens. The tallest man ever recorded was 8 feet 11 inches tall. Yeah.
I was thinking a while ago. There's like a woman in China that I don't think she was quite 8 feet, but she was up there.
She was like 7'10". Yeah. Yeah. He died at 22 years old. I think he was from the Netherlands. And actually, the Netherlands is actually the tallest country in the world on average right now. Yeah. I think their average height is like 1.84. Or 184 centimeters tall, which is pretty dang tall. And I was like 6'1", 6'2".
Wow.
Yeah, 6'1", I think. Yeah, because I'm 187 centimeters, which is 6'2". So yeah, they're pretty tall. And then U.S. is not far behind. We're number I think 9 on the list.
That's surprising.
Yeah. So there you go. And obviously, most of the tallest countries in the world are Scandinavian countries. So like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, all those. So. All right, back to the question. So if they're going to test if you were just a really tall person, like you played in the NBA, you're just tall, or you had actually gigantism, would you test for progesterone, human growth hormone, testosterone, androgen, or IGF-1? You quickly chose human growth hormone.
HGH.
The answer is actually not human growth hormone. Oh, you would test for IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor, which regulates cell growth. And I think we talked about that in our steroid episode, John, when I talked about how IGF-1 plays a big role in steroids. This is because human growth hormone is affected. Obviously, it's regulated, but human growth hormone goes through diurnal cycles. When you sleep, it goes elevated up and down. But IGF-1 is just simply elevated in somebody with gigantism. So if you test somebody and they have a normal IGF-1 level, you can rule out gigantism right away. So that's what they use to test gigantism. Oh.
Yeah, it's basically
the body. I stand educated.
Yes.
It's basically like the body doesn't know it needs to stop growing.
Yeah.
That's essentially why they just keep, getting so tall.
Yeah, basically. So, unfortunately, Johnathan, you did not defeat the boss this week. Oh, but that's okay. That's okay. Your prize this week is absolutely nothing, but don't worry about it. There's always next time. We have to have you back on. So next time. But we're going to take a quick break, get into your topic of the week, emails, and get on out of here. So let's take a break and come on back. And I'm back, and I grew 3 inches, guys.
That's funny. I was gonna say, I think I just grew another foot.
I knew you were gonna say that. Oh, so yeah, how you feeling after your boss defeat there, Johnathan? You okay?
Well, I washed my face and wiped the tears, but I'm okay.
Okay, good. That's okay. We're actually on a losing streak now. I think that's 8 in a row now, John.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, we got to get some winners in here next, but yes. So every week we have our guests bring a topic of the week, and we have an interesting topic from you, Johnathan, that I would like you to go ahead and introduce now. So what do you got for us today?
Well, I would like to ask, but it's a question. It's not a topic. It's a question.
Fantastic. Pose the question.
Why is the video game industry seemingly looking down at the older brother, tabletop gaming?
Do you think video gamers look down on tabletop players? Do you think video gamers think they're sort of
elaborate on that. Like, so kind of go into some backstory about that. Like, kind of why you feel that way or what you've kind of noticed.
So, well, first of all,
being on both sides.
You can just hear them talk.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, so go into that, yeah, because you've been on both sides of it, so you can understand and see.
I'll give you an example from 1 year ago. About 1 year ago, I came into Berkeley and I'm taking this class, and one of our guest lecturers in the class is general counsel for one of the Bay Area's top gaming companies, video game companies, or mobile game companies, anyways. And he's a very nice guy. He's a very nice guy, and he gave us a very nice talk and answered all the questions. And he said, well, if you have any questions, guys, just feel free to call me up afterwards. And I call him up afterwards, and I give him my background. He says, well, you have an amazing background, but you won't get a job in the video game industry. I say, why not? He said, because you only have a background in tabletop. You don't know enough about games.
Wow.
That's like the same as someone working in the gaming industry as a writer, writing for games, saying someone getting into the movie industry, because the movie industry, film industry here in LA looks down on the gaming industry. And so it's just the shit rolls downhill, I guess, huh? Wow.
I mean,
that's terrible. Gamification is gamification.
Sure? Gamification. It's not just that. I mean, a lot of the successful games, if you talk to game designers, the most successful ones, they play games.
That's what I'm saying. Like game designers, they do gamification. They build the mechanics of a game. They understand the game, and it has to start somewhere.
That's how you grow up and understand gaming. What makes a good game work, because you grew up playing a lot of games. And you wouldn't have real-time strategy, and you wouldn't have a turn-based strategy, and you wouldn't have RPGs, and you wouldn't have any of those.
Right.
Exactly.
Which those are the precursors to video games. Like those were the first games, and then you got action games when graphics got better. Then you got more racing. But the first games are RPGs and RTS.
I get the feeling that because it's a bigger volume money industry, and because it looks fancier. I mean, seriously, it looks fancier.
Right.
I admit. Yeah. They're like, nah, that cardboard thing. And I think that in some way the video game industry should, give a second look to the board game industry or the tabletop gaming industry.
Right. I have 2 questions though I'm going to pose to you. First one is, you say the video game industry, or do you mean the consumers of video games? Because I don't know if at least in the indie scene, I think they have a very good heart for tabletop gaming. I think, at least all the developers I've worked with and talked to and who I've been a part of down here in LA, they don't really look down, because again, as an indie developer, you already look down on anyway. So it's like, hey, right? But so maybe that's a kind of a slanted angle I'm looking at. But do you think it's more of the consumers of video games, like the gamers that, that's a board game, that's stupid? Do you think that's the first question? I guess, and then I'll ask the second one afterwards.
Well, first of all, with a lot of gamers, yes. The answer is yes. I mean, come on, your game can't do this and this.
Right.
Just yesterday, I had a small argument, very short argument, not an argument, but one of my students.
Did you win?
I always win.
Okay, good.
Except your boss game. But one of my students said, we were talking about Magic the Gathering and World of Warcraft TCG that was discontinued in 2013. Mm-hmm. And then, but he said, well, but you have Hearthstone. Or, I was like, yeah, you have Hearthstone, but it's just not the same. And he goes like, why? I mean, it's the same. They actually use some of the artwork and the characters and the plot from the WoW TCG for the Hearthstone. Said, but still, there's nothing like smelling the fear on your opponent and looking him in the eye when you lay that card versus, a computer-generated you lose.
Avatar, yeah.
It's not the same thing. I mean, I understand that it's an awesome game. I play it. I play Hearthstone.
Yep.
It's a casual thing, and it's awesome. It has a very good playing mechanism, and it has beautiful graphics, and it really plays well.
It's a good fun. It's fun the way it handles it. Yeah, but there's you said, there's nothing to substitute. Like even counting your own life chips and removing them out of your thing, like the physical act of doing that is just a whole different experience. It would be different. But how do you think that's a negative thing, though? Like, how do you think that gamers look down on the actual board gaming?
I think that when you don't appreciate that a different type of gaming can exist, it's, well, first of all, generally speaking, you're narrow-minded.
Right.
Go get some education. But I think that for us as gamers, like, I don't like sports game that much, or I'm not a big fan of Final Fantasy. Sorry. But I've played it. I've enjoyed it. I wouldn't spend my money on it. I go to other people's houses where they have it, and if it's on, I'll play it, and I'll lose in a very horrible way. But I'll have, I won't say, I don't play that thing. No. It's beneath me or something.
Right.
I think that you grow as a gamer, seriously, when you're exposed to more types of gaming platforms as well.
John, correct. Kind of back me up on this one. I think now, Johnathan, you're kind of floating into the territory of almost the youth of society of today, just the full, like the millennial attitude of just lacking of just classic games or anything in the past.
But I sent you the link.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not just simply just. I think it's now that kids today just don't care about the old stuff. Like, that's old, it's stupid. So I think now you're actually kind of hitting like two things now. It's because for me, it doesn't seem as much. I haven't experienced, at least personally, that the industry looks down on tabletop gaming. But I can see that how if you're in a game design studio, how you could maybe be like, maybe you don't have on paper. It's like, you don't have the experience in a gaming studio. So you may not understand that, but if they interviewed you, you understand it. Okay, we can still hire somebody. Yeah, that still happens. Like they still hire game writers and screenwriters and all these different things in different mediums if they interview them and talk to them. But it's just, to me, like I think gamers looking down on tabletop games is more of a thing, and it seems to me like just the kids just don't appreciate it anymore because they're on their phones all the time now. They don't play with each other anymore. You don't look at their friends. You go out to dinner, you see a group of 4 girls. They're all on their phones. They're not even talking to each other.
Probably texting.
Yeah. John, what do you think?
I think this day and age, in general, like people are so everything's so divisive. Like, Patriot, let's bring it to the NFL. Patriot fans love the Patriots and can't stand anything else or anyone else or whatever. And then there's fans outside of the Patriots who probably like football in general, but can't stand the Patriots, or. And again, back to kind of like gamers to tabletop gamers, I bet you there's kids even now that grow up, maybe they're playing Settlers of Catan or, fill in the blank. Maybe they're playing, D&D and games like that. Maybe they were brought up playing those types of games. And I bet you there's those kids who are like, whoever plays video games is an idiot.
Yeah.
They're probably like, they can't think for themselves. We use our minds playing these board games.
The computer calculates for them. They don't need to think what that is. They don't need to keep track of their character stats.
Yeah, we're just so divisive now as a people group. Like no one can ever enjoy like everything now. It's like, if you're not all in on this side, forget it. You know, it's all or nothing.
Okay, let me give you a different example. This is from lawyers.
Okay.
We talked about this case. I won't bring it up because I don't want the lawyer involved to bite my head off.
Right, fair enough.
But one of the cases we talked about, I talked to the lawyer on the losing side, and I asked her, there is a string of cases going back to 1929 saying games cannot be protected. Did you present that to the court? And the answer I got, again, she's a lawyer, she's a gamer, but the answer I got was, tabletop game has nothing to do with video games.
Wow.
I'm like, first of all, you lost, and you could have won, so stupid answer. But it's a feeling I get a lot. I teach at a game design college, and whenever I bring up a sample from tabletop gaming, the automated response I used to get, I don't get it anymore. They're smarter than that. But it used to be, oh, but that's a completely different thing. You know, it's like you're talking about vegetables all of a sudden. Well, it's not. Right. It's not. And I think that, you know, the video game industry should give a great big hug to the roots where it grew up from. I mean, if you look at Might and Magic, which is the father and mother of almost every RPG, or Betrayal at Corridor, you know, these guys play D&D.
Yep.
A shitload of D&D, if I may say so myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You might need to edit that.
Right. That's fine.
But and then you go to the guys who are developing 2016 or 2015 RPGs, and you talk to them about Dungeons and Dragons, and these guys are, again, not the indies.
But they're the big AAAs,
but the big studios, and you're talking to them, you know, basic concepts of role-playing games. And they're like, there's nothing you can teach me, because all I ever needed to learn, I learned from watching, you know, chapter 1 of the same series that I'm doing now, chapter 5. Like, if you broaden your horizons a bit, I'm not saying that D&D per se is like the best game in the world, and there are like,
but it's still a pioneer. It started everything.
Yeah.
You know,
and you can find at least 1,000 other role-playing games out there, at least, easy, and download them for, like, you know, $5.55 or $9.99 or something stupid like that, and enjoy for years. But just a frame of mind saying that we only look to our own industry, which I get a lot, I think it's really mistaken, and I don't understand where it's coming from.
Right. To me, I think there is a similarity, obviously, between the two. It's almost like movies and TV, how they're both visual mediums. They're different, but they're still the same. You know, maybe a better comparison would be maybe radio and TV, because radio came first and was like the thing, but it's still a entertainment medium. But to look at them and say that, hey, these things are totally not related is absolutely asinine, I would say. And yeah, like, I definitely think there's a definite 100% crossover. Like, if you can't see that, then yeah, that's bad. And the person who told you that you'll never get a job in there, they're closed-minded, and you should not listen to anything they say. So
don't talk to them again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, disregard anyone who does that.
They're blinder than I am.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So, well, hey, moving forward, what do you think solutions are to help alleviate that? Like, obviously, what you're doing is, you know, reaching the new next generation of game designers and developers, and hopefully you give them a good broader sense. What do you think about mainstream? How do you think we reach the mainstream to kind of erase that?
Well, I wish I knew.
Right? I was just gonna say that's the $1 million question, right? So,
you know, well, the answer I got was, you know, a general counsel in a company that makes, you know, $1 million a day out of just a very basic game that everybody's hooked on. You know, we all have it on our cell phones. And how do you get to these people and tell them, I don't know. I seriously don't know. I mean, look at the numbers for Gen Con, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. They have crazy numbers at that thing.
Crazy numbers, and they're going up every year. Look at the sale figures for, board games or tabletop games in general. They're going up every year.
Dude, 5th edition D&D blew the doors off freaking... It's just insane.
So, I mean, and these guys are living in this closed, close quarters where they're not looking left and right for inspiration. I mean, I've thought about this so many times. You know how many games I've known and played, tabletop games that I've known and played would be awesome, just
video games,
casual apps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, totally. Like, I used to play Axis and Allies growing up. That was one of my favorite games. And, dude, like, they tried to make a PC version of it and it wasn't good. But now, like, with the technology, they can make so many great games like that. Just easy, simple things to play that are the tabletop experiences. Granted, like you said, smelling that cardboard, seeing the fear is great. I love that. So that's a cutthroat lawyer coming out in you. But, yeah, it's true. The experiences could still be there. And, and maybe in the app there could be a link to, hey, buy the board game. Hey, why not?
And the advantage for the gaming industry, for the video game industry, is, supposedly would be that you already got an addicted audience.
Oh yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you talk to them about it, they're like, nah, we don't know that stuff.
Huh.
Well, get to know it, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the future hopefully kind of changed, and Gen Con it is growing. Everything is. So we'll see what happens. But no, thank you for the topic. That was a great one. That was a really good one. You got time for a couple emails before we head out of here, everybody?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So moving into the emails. So if you want to email the show, you can do so at our email address, jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. I repeat, jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. So, you guys know by now. All right. First email comes in from Benjamin in West Virginia. He says, John and Ted, I'm a big fan of fighting games, and I really enjoyed the episode with Ms. Owens. You had a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, that was a good episode. Personally, I am a Street Fighter player, but I enjoy most games in the genre. I have 2 questions. 1, who's your favorite Street Fighter character / who do you play with? And 2, which character do you think would best describe you? Ooh, let's go around the tabletop game. Johnathan, what do you got? Street Fighter character. Who do you play as normally, and who? We'll start with that.
I want to be the girl that gets kidnapped in the beginning. The scream.
Yeah.
I can't remember. She has a name. I know she has a name, but I just can't. I don't know.
Did you play Street Fighter? Yes.
A gazillion years ago.
Yes, but who did you play as a gazillion years ago?
Whoever my other friend let me play. We're just two friends playing, so this or that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
John,
it was a fun game.
Yeah, it was. John, who's your
I would clean house with Ryu.
Oh yes.
So I like probably one of the last, the last carnival I remember being at when I could still see, there's Street Fighter 2.
Yep.
And it didn't just come out, but that was the newest, version of Street Fighter.
Did you play Turbo?
No.
Oh,
nope.
okay.
So it was just straight up Street Fighter 2. I was Ryu, and then there was a line at the second player, and I was just kept mopping the floor with everyone. So it was pretty awesome.
Nice.
I actually met the world champion for Street Fighter a couple of months ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, nice guy. Doesn't look like a
Daigo? You mean Daigo?
What is that? Was that his name?
Yeah, Daigo. He's pretty good. So
yeah, he was awesome.
Oh, nice. I played as a couple, but my main guy, when I first started playing Street Fighter back in, like I said, like 92 when it first came out, my neighbor had it.
I'm gonna guess you used Blanca.
No, I did actually use him a little bit, but no, Zangief.
Okay.
That's who I started playing as, right? And then I moved on to, because he used to play as E Honda, and I got so pissed off at those 1,000 hands, so then I started playing with E Honda, and then afterwards, I messed with Vega pretty much so because he had the reach. But my main dude was Zangief. I used to just do like the flying leg kick and the pile driver over and over.
Yep.
So that was my deal. So okay, who do you think best describes your character, you as a person? John, let's see what you got. Who do you think? If you were to be a Street Fighter character, who do you think would personify you?
I guess Ryu, that's probably why I was.
Because he's so handsome and like awesome and the best.
Dashing young man.
There you
go. Because I took karate when I was a kid. Remember we talked about that? Back in the 80s, everyone wanted to be like a ninja, you know?
Hell yeah.
Ryu.
Three Halloweens in a row as a ninja.
Exactly. And Ryu just reminds me of kind of like that typical, karate guy,
Fine,
so
I'd be Ken then.
Yeah, exactly.
Johnathan, who do you think you'd be if a Street Fighter character?
I just don't remember the characters. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It was a long time.
All right, so who is your character in D&D, Johnathan?
Yeah.
Who is
What's
the character?
His name? Yeah.
Oh, what was my character? Well, my first character playing was Lunatic Elf.
There we go.
And does that describe you?
To an extent.
Are you short? Are you short and crazy?
Well, elves aren't short.
Right. Again, and elvish, an elven that actually tall if you're in the lore. But
but yeah, D&D elves are shorter than the Tolkien elves.
Right.
But I played a lot of time as the crazy elf until my party abandoned me as a frozen statue.
Mm.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, not nice, not nice. They kind of complained about me a lot.
So they froze you and killed you. They basically Han Solo'd you.
Somebody turned me like an evil wizard or something, turned me into a statue. And they had two options, figure out how to release me or not. And they opted with not.
Oh, man.
So you didn't play with those guys anymore, huh?
I changed my character to... I don't remember what race I was. Probably something silly like a dwarf because I like mixing, And he was a womanizer. Yeah, and he died tragically, thinking that I don't remember what kind of monster it was, but was actually going for it, and he ran after her and did not see daylight again.
Oh, man.
Yeah, those are my two most memorable characters.
All right, so you're a crazy womanizer. Those are okay. There you go. I would be M. Bison because I want to take over the world.
There you go.
Yeah, evil leader of Shadowloo. Yeah. All right, Benjamin. Thanks. Okay. Another old school question. Ooh, this is a good one. Yeah. I forgot to paste who wrote this one. All right. It says, "Dear John and Ted, which old school game from maybe 94 or earlier or the 16-bit era excuse me, do you think, well, it says to back, do you think would be the best for international esports competitions?" That is an awesome question. I mean, obviously Street Fighter 2. I mean, yeah, there you go. No, that's awesome. There's so many old school games that you could really make sick esports out of now.
Cool.
Man. Seriously, let me think. Well, obviously Tecmo Bowl, done.
Oh, yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Double dribble.
Yep. NBA Jam. Mm-hmm. So sports, we'll kill the sports. Yeah, the sports games. Let's see. F-Zero would be cool.
If you could change the mechanics of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where other players could be the foot.
Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
So you could do a Counter-Strike kind of thing, with that. That'd be cool.
Right. Or you can even make that like a MOBA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that'd be kind of cool. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What about freaking Punch Out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or Excite Bike.
Oh yeah. Oh, Excite Bike. Yeah, that's the racing style one. That'd be pretty cool.
For the off road, Ivan's 4x4 off road.
Oh yeah, that's my jam. That's my jam. Super off road. I went to that arcade in San Diego last year, and I played that on one quarter. I played it for maybe 45 minutes on one quarter. And then people were like, yeah, Sean was like, holy crap. I'm like, yep, I used to play this game all the time. I was sitting there, it had a steering wheel and everything, so you could spin it. So it spun. So my whole car was doing 360s. I had the gas pedal. I was railing through it. I was shifting and everything. and people just look at me like I was nuts. But yeah, like 45 minutes on one quarter. So, yeah, that was like the old.
Did you remember the game?
Oh yeah.
I mean, did you remember the obstacles and everything? Like.
Oh no, I remember the mechanics. So I played it. I put one quarter in, played it a couple times. I died, and I was like, okay, I remember now. And then it just all came back to me because I played that game. Probably if you calculate it, as a kid, you have way more hours in the day to play video games. So
yes.
if you extrapolate that from like when I got my Nintendo and that game probably in like 89 or 90 to like when I stopped playing it maybe like 99 over 9 years, I probably played it for a good close to 800 hours, 900, 1,000 hours at least. So yeah, I had that much, but yeah, I was like smoking. Like, yeah, but that'd be an awesome game. Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like we're missing some good ones. I mean, obviously fighting games would be really good ones.
Double Dragon or.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. But I think like the biggest esports type stuff. So what kind of genres? I mean, fighting games for sure. We know those.
RPGs.
Yeah.
RPGs.
Could you do that for an esports though? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, why not?
How?
Why not?
But how?
Well, you have
what do you mean how? If you one party against the other.
Like how? What? Like but how do you quantify that for like an esport? Like use like level cap or you the first person? Oh, you know what? Tetris. Done. That was sick.
My father-in-law is insane at that game. He can easily get into like level 100. It's ridiculous.
I told you my mom used to kick me off my freaking Nintendo so I could play.
Yeah, I have no idea how he does it, but he's ridiculous at that game. Just one last quick thing about like kind of the esports with the older games.
Let's talk about
the one thing that makes that difficult a little bit is because obviously that wasn't taken into consideration when these games were created.
Right.
So, but like I said, that like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you could change the mechanism a little bit,
right?
If you had the chance to, edit the game in a sense,
yeah, for sure,
that would be a great game, like I was saying.
I mean, they do speed runs of game. That's cool. I'm just trying to think of something that's competitive that we used to play against each other, I mean, all RTSs, like for sure, like original Warcraft, like all that kind of stuff would be cool. Yeah. What else is like good? I mean, you could do
Outrun, I guess.
Yeah. Outrun's really good. Yeah, it's a good racing game. You could do like, is there any? I guess he said from like.
There was some like old school like WrestleMania games.
Oh yeah.
91. That would be cool.
Dude, it's like basically racing games. Like Sega Rally would be sick. Would be awesome at that. Ridge Racer would be cool at that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I would love to see like a beat 'em up. But how would you do? Maybe that's almost like a fighting game. So it'd be cool.
Like say with Double Dragon again, you'd have to kind of change the mechanics a little bit because like people would have to be kind of like the bad guys or whatever.
Yeah.
But it could be done.
Yeah, sure. Well, there's our answer. Hopefully, answered it for you. That'd be cool. But I think it'd be interesting to play some of the older games. At least the racing games and some of the fighting games would be pretty fun. So, alrighty. Lauren in Great Falls, Michigan, I'm guessing. It just says Great Falls. It says, there you go. Hey, John, Ted, in third person, who is not here. Who is your favorite superhero? John.
Oh, this is I already know where Ted lands on this.
Easy one. You just see the shirt I'm wearing right now. and the cup I'm drinking out of as well. I'm having my water right here.
I would say someone just to make Ted mad, but I don't know if I would necessarily
do it.
My superhero.
Don't do it.
But you know what I would possibly say Daredevil, but with the caveat being I haven't watched the shows
yet. Daredevil blind?
Yeah, actually is.
Yeah.
So I have been meaning to watch those on Netflix, but a lot of people, I had one friend message me on Facebook when the show first came out on Netflix, and he was like, I knew it, you're Daredevil.
Oh, sick. Actually, that's perfect, dude. That's going to be our new cover art for the podcast. It's like, you dress up in Daredevil and me dressed up as
Superman.
Of course. I don't care if it's a cop out. Superman's the best, the greatest of all time. I have been obsessed with Superman since I could say Superman. Oh my goodness. I remember actually one of the most vivid upsetting memories was I had kind of a Superman little action figure with a cape and everything. He was like in the model of a G.I. Joe, so you could like move him around. He's like probably about half inch taller than a G.I. Joe, but he still had the movable arms. He had a cape on him and everything. He was really cool. And I used to toss him around and throw him, and I took him everywhere. And then I threw it up really high, really quick, and it got stuck on top of an apartment building. And I never saw it again. And like it was a 4-story apartment building, and I just remember crying for days. That was my favorite thing. Because I put him in my Superman lunchbox to go to school, and he wasn't there, and that was like the worst thing ever. Oh.
So did you see the movie?
Oh, I did actually. I just saw the movie actually before I left for London.
Okay.
Not horrible. Like, you got bad reviews. There's some things I didn't like.
I really saw people either totally digging it or saying it was a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Like there's no middle ground.
Exactly. And for me, I think the people who say it's complete garbage have legs to stand on, but I don't. It's honestly, it's not garbage. It's not great, but it's definitely not a garbage movie. It took some risks. Shauna, actually, her two favorite superheroes are She-Ra from He-Man and Wonder Woman. And so whenever we go out, like, 'cause she's in really good shape and I work out too, they're like, oh, look at Superman and Wonder Woman. And cause she has Wonder Woman shirts and stuff like that. And so she was really happy to see Wonder Woman there, because Wonder Woman rocked in the movie. It was pretty sick seeing her. But no, it was okay. What I really liked was that Batman was Ben Affleck, because Ben Affleck sucks, and he was Batman and made Batman look even. Yeah, exactly, and which was even better. I was like, yes, haha. So it just made Batman suck even more.
Yeah, he is not Batman. They should have brought Michael Keaton back.
Yeah, oh right, yeah, he would have been better. Seriously, a 60-year-old Michael Keaton versus Ben Affleck would have been better. Yeah, it was okay. Honestly, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was there was some. I think they were trying to set up their cinematic universe. They're trying to pull the whole Marvel thing.
Sure.
And it made Superman look weak in some senses, which kind of bugged me. But the problem with Superman is he's just too much of a beast. You can't make a Superman video game. You can't make a Superman movie. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, any Superman movie you make, the whole crux of it has to be, oh, somebody found kryptonite. No, there you go. But he eventually gets out of it because you can't kill Superman because he's the best. So, like, what are you going to do? So, yeah, so I don't fault him for that. But, yeah, it was okay. I'm glad I saw it. But I wouldn't be like, hey, this is the greatest movie ever. By any
do you have the Superman game on your Atari thing? I love that game for the Atari.
Yeah, it is there. I have not played it yet, though.
That's a great game.
Is it? I should plug it in right when we're done. I will. I think, which reminds me, I think a new segment that we're going to probably have to add, dude, is probably like I'm going to play out through all 125 and we'll just do a check-in every week.
Definitely.
I'll play, like an hour or two of each and we'll go through
one game. Yeah, we can go one game by game or whatever.
That would be kind of fun, because to hit the old Atari stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So that, obviously, Lauren, I'm a Superman guy through and through. I guess to take the non-cop-out route, who else I like, besides Superman, is I like Spider-Man. So, I mean,
there you go.
I used to have a bunch of Spider-Man comics, so I like Spider-Man. So, but I haven't liked him recently, but he's pretty cool. Let's see what we got here. That's a serious one. It's a bigger, long one. Oh yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. This is a fun one. This is from Rashid in Albany. It says, hello, Ted and John. I recently saw on Ted's Instagram a few pictures of good food that you cooked. I was wondering, John and Ted, do you cook often, or are those just flukes? Where did you learn? I'm 22 and graduating in May, and it's a skill I'd like to learn. Where do I start? Help me. Rashid in Albany, New York. John, can you cook?
Rashid, just get married. That's what I did.
Yeah. So that answers that question. John, you do not cook, huh?
No, I do. You do not want me cooking.
Okay. Well, I mean, as far
and
as
it's not because I'm blanks. There actually are quite a few blind
right.
I don't know if you necessarily call them chefs, but there are definitely quite a few blind people that do cook. But I am certainly not one of those.
Can you cook toast?
That I can pull. I can pull off frozen waffles, toast, cereal.
So basically,
maybe the macaroni and cheese, ramen noodles, stuff like that.
Oh, the good stuff, the staples.
Oh, yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. I actually am a pretty good cook. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but I come from a lineage of chefs, and my mom is a very, very, very good chef, and she was a chef for a while. And I grew up watching her, and then as I went on my own, I go out to restaurant food, and then I like to eat healthy, and I like what I like to eat, and so I just like, you know what, I can cook that better, and my mom always made it better, and that kind of tainted me, right? Having a chef for a mom, so when I go out to eat place, I'm like, my mom's is still better. So then, so then she taught me how to make a few things. She taught me like the basics of cooking, like skills, like how to saute this, how to grill that, how to mix ingredients here, what to do there, like how to, simmer and all the little things, how to chop.
Yeah.
And then, what was actually really cool is when I graduated college with my bachelor's degree, my mom spent like maybe 4 months of, cause my grandma was an amazing chef amazing cook, like Southern food, cause we're from the South. She's from Georgia. And she passed away when I was like 16 or so. But she passed on all of her stuff to my mom, and my mom, learned how to cook that as well. But, my mom spent 4 months, and she compiled all of the best recipes from my grandma and her. And the hard thing is that when they cook, like they're the typical like cook with love people. They don't measure. They just kind of throw it and make it taste.
Yeah, my wife's the same way. Yeah,
they know what it tastes. So my mom had to spend 4 months and make all the meals and measure them out. And then she went and she put it in a Microsoft Publisher, and she made a beautiful cookbook and bound it and got it for me and gave it to me for my graduation present. So that's awesome. So if I ever want to cook that, and those are the old home Southern style meals that are like 800 pounds of fat in there and delicious, but they're amazing recipes. So
sticks of butter.
Oh, totally. But if I ever need to know how to cook something, I'm like, how do I do that? Like, I do it in there. Like the other day, I made meatloaf, and I was like, I want to make some meatloaf because I want to try that, and I've never really made a meatloaf from scratch. So I was like, hey, and I just opened the book, and sure enough, there it was. My mom's famous meatloaf. She makes good meatloaf, and I whipped it up, and it turned out great. And I called my mom, like, thank you. So
yeah, my wife is an awesome cook, and she makes killer barbecue meatloaf. Oh, man.
Can she send me the recipe, please? Because I will. Because again, I cook usually.
I mean, she can try. She's like kind of what you were just saying. She's one of those. She doesn't measure nothing, and she just knows how to. Right,
but if she explains to me, I'm good enough. Because I cook probably 4 or 5 days a week. Like I do the cooking. Shauna can't cook. I think she cooked dinner tonight, actually. I usually do most cooking. I make up stuff all the time. I cook really good pancakes and stuff. So I would say, Rashid, to answer your question now is, where do you start? Start with learning the basics of cooking. How to cut, how to boil, what foods go with what, how to cook their basic meats, how to cook chicken,
what herbs and spices to use and not to use.
Yeah, like how much to use of what goes with what. But basically, if you learn how to cut, if you learn how to grill chicken breasts, cook hamburger, ground beef, and then you can do, then the possibilities are endless. Because then you could put chicken and some rice, and you got a half a meal right there, and steam some broccoli, you're good. And then it's like same thing. You cook ground beef, you can put some spaghetti sauce on it, and you got some makeshift spaghetti, like some basic spaghetti with some noodles, right? Just learn how to do the basics, I would say. But yeah, cutting and prepping and knowing what food's good, knowing how to eat which food, when to eat it, and how long they last in the fridge is the biggest thing, I would say. So yeah, for sure. Yes. Let's go one more and then get out of here. Okay, here we go. We're just gonna dive in and call them. Now let's call this show. We'll save that one for next week. That's a big one. Anything else, John? Anything else?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. John, how do they get a hold of you?
Can email JTE. No, wait.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, that's a show. That's a wrap. Yeah. Well, that's good for that. I guess, we will say goodbye to Johnathan. I think you got to go. Is that right, my man?
Yes, it is right.
But hey, it's been great having you on. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks you so much.
It's great. Yeah, great having you on.
But before you head out, go ahead and give a last quick plug of yourself on what you're doing, what's going on, and how to get a hold of you.
Well, if you're anything in games and you need to talk to somebody who has 13 years of business experience and is an expert about law in games, call me up, Johnathan Aloni, John, Johnathan Aloni, LinkedIn, easiest way to get me. You can go the whole name, Johnathan Aloni @gmail if you want. It's really long. Johnathan Aloni.
Cool. Yeah, get a hold of him, and your stuff will be in the show notes. But hey, thank you so much for being on. It was great, and yeah, we will definitely talk soon, man.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey.
Good night.
Hey.
Cool. We're back on schedule, everybody. Thank you for listening. As always, I'm your host, Ted Edwards, and this is Johnathan Nadeau. How to get a hold of us, though, for real? You can get a hold of us on Twitter and Instagram. It's at JTEX Gamecast. My Twitter and Instagram is at Tedwards44. John's is at JNadeau7. Nadeau is spelled Nadeau, the French way. Join the Facebook group. It's fun. We post everything in there. You can talk, have discussions, all that junk, and building this community up. Yeah. You can find us on iTunes, on Google Plus, or Google Play. You can find us on Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. Do that. Write us a review on iTunes. We're starting to get ranked up there, and we'd appreciate all the help you can get. Give us those 5 stars, and hey, if you give us something lower, please give us something constructive that we can fix, and we will try to fix it. Right, John?
Absolutely.
No, we won't. Huh? No, for sure. And yeah, visit the podcast website. It's www.raptorcow.com/JTEXGamecast. And of course, you can email us at jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. That's it. That's it. That's all I got for us. Till next week, episode 28 next week. This is the Adrian Peterson episode, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, everybody, thank you for listening, and that's all we got for you.
Game over.
Yeah.